Ordinarily, I would have just gone straight to answer your question, but I would like to respond to a few things Mr. Jamiu Abiola has said, and to remind Nigerians that in 2019, Mr. Jamiu Abiola told Nigerians that the then Buhari represented the vision of his father, and in fact told Nigerians to vote. He told Nigerians in 2019 to vote for Buhari to honor his father. In 2020, you can fact-check me on this, Jamiu Abiola, who is President Tinubu today, told Nigerians that Buhari had the same vision with his father. When Buhari left in 2023, thousands of Nigerians were slaughtered. The economy was nothing to write home about. The so-called wall against corruption was a complete flop. The entire country was in ruins. Tinubu came in, and even Tinubu has said that he made Nigeria destroyed. At least people loyal to him are saying so. So I begin to wonder whether Buhari's legacy represents the vision of Abiola for Nigeria. I think that is the question Mr. Jamiu and his family should think about, because when he speaks in this manner, it is a desecration of the name of his father. And I'm saying that because I'm very upset about some of the things he has said. Now, regarding your question, I think Nigerians should no longer be taken for granted. We cannot continue to live in a country where we have leaders who do not listen to what the people are saying. People claim, oh, that the president is doing this, the president is listening. Mr. Sheun, this protest has lasted for 2 days now. Has President Tinubu spoken to Nigerians? I personally don't want him to address Nigerians. I want him to address the demands of Nigerians. It's not the same thing. But has he even addressed Nigerians? 48 hours after, dozens of over 12 Nigerians have been killed at a minimum. Has the president spoken? 48 hours after, has the government even said, okay, we want to talk? These are our representatives in the dialogue. Because people kept saying protesters should talk to the government. They said the protesters are faceless, they are leaderless. Who are the people that represent the face of the government if the conversation or dialogue is to take place? And what are the demands of the protesters? Because you say people should leave the streets, but have you listened to them? Have you listened to them? You have a president that has 48 ministers, Sheun, 48 ministers, the highest in the history of our country, at a time that the country does not have money to run and pay for basic services. If the president is serious, he shouldn't take Tinubu 1 hour to reduce the number of ministers to 37. Because constitutionally, every state is entitled to minister plus the FCT. There is no reason why Nigeria should have more than 37 ministers. So when the protesters say they need you to reduce the cost of governance, these are actions that can be taken under 24 hours. People say they want electoral reform. Sheun, you saw how the Akpabio Senate and the counterpart in the House of Reps convened to amend the Police Act to extend the tenure of the IG within 24 hours. Under 24 hours emergency session, they also passed an appropriation act. If the president is serious about addressing the protesters, by now the Federal Ministry of Justice would have come up with a draft bill to amend the Electoral Act and send it to the National Assembly to make electronic transmission of results mandatory under our law. This is one of the demands. If the president is serious, if the president is really serious, he would have addressed, right, other demands of the protesters, including economic policies that have been introduced, that have rendered Nigerians homeless, that have rendered Nigerians hungry. They told us on the 29th of May last year, Sheun, that the president has removed subsidy. We are aware from records that the last year, you can fact-check me, about 3 trillion was paid for subsidy. Where is the fuel? We are still having queues. People cannot find it to buy. They have increased the cost of the electricity tariff. That has now made a mess of power in our country. So you continue to introduce policies that are subjugating people. And people are protesting. You haven't said anything to address it. You want to buy a new aircraft. You are building a new residence for Shetima. And you say there is no money. And you are saying that people should listen. Now Wike is coming out to make irresponsible statements. I'm not surprised. Nobody is surprised. The same Wike that was threatening people not to come out in the FCT, you are hearing what the governors are saying, because they claim that the president has given money to governors, right, to ameliorate the suffering of Nigerians. For me, that is just a largesse. Because you are dealing with governors that are not accountable. There is no single House of Assembly in Nigeria today, out of the 36. Not one. Not in Lagos, not in Akwa Ibom, not in Zamfara, that can hold a governor accountable. Not even one. All of them have become stooges of governors. Shegun, are you not aware that governors are still spending billions monthly? Are still spending billions as running costs to buy new vehicles, to run their government houses on frivolous things. Shegun, we are dealing with a kleptomaniac political class in our country. We are dealing with people that have made up their minds to destroy our country. So how can the president be giving money to governors that nobody can hold accountable? And they claim they are distributing rice. How many rice? How many families have received this rice? How many? They claim that they are going to reduce the cost of a bag of rice to 40,000. Maybe in the villa, they are selling it at that amount. In the markets in Lagos, I haven't seen that. So maybe it's in the Akwa Ibom Senate that they are selling rice for 40,000. I have not seen it anywhere. So the point I am making, if you are really honest about engagement with the protesters, because it's not enough to say you want to engage. Are you really honest about it? Are you honest about it? I am excited that in Lagos, the situation is relatively calm. And that is because at our own level, we are also advising the protesters to be calm. But guess what? Even as I speak to you, today we just secured the release of 12 people from Panti. The governor said it is peaceful. The CP said it is peaceful. People are still being arrested. In Calabar, protesters were arrested. So you have provocation all over the country. And the military is even issuing a statement to threaten Nigerians. So which one should we take? If the government is interested in dialogue, government talks are attacking protesters all over the country. If you are interested in dialogue, who do you want the protesters to talk to? And which of the demands are you willing to make? What concession has Tinubu made so far? None. In Kenya that they keep making reference to. President,
if I may jump in quickly. Yeah, let me jump in quickly. Mr. Ebun Oluwadegborua, although Adam Lawyer said that they fired Mr. Ebun Oluwadegborua as their lawyer, he said he's no longer their lawyer, but he has advised that the protest should be called off. Earlier on, I spoke with Mr. Paul Alaje, who says there are dire implications of the protest on our economy. In your own view, should we continue with this protest because of the implication on our lives? We are running a very tender economy that cannot afford non-productivity any longer. What is your view?
The problem of the economy, in my respectful view, is not the fact that businesses have been impacted in the last 2 days. The problem of the economy is that, as I said, we have a kleptomaniac, a criminal political class in our country that has basically subjugated the economy. Because before people went on protest, was the economy saving the interests of the Nigerian people? So, whether the protest should continue or not, it is in the hands of Mr. President. All these irresponsible comments that God, can you imagine them saying that it is those who lost elections?
What do you think that Mr. President should do? What are you expecting the president to do? How do you think that these protests can stop? Because it doesn't look like it's going to be in the interest of the country. And I'm imagining that the objectives and the effect that the protesters wanted has been established, except if I'm wrong. Can this protest continue? In your own view, how can it be stopped? What should the president do?
Shegun, very simple. Very simple. Today, before we wake up tomorrow, I want to hear Mr. Tinubu announce to Nigerians that he has reduced the number of his ministers to 37. I want to hear Tinubu announce that the cost of governance, the cost of running the presidency has been cut by at least 50%. I want to hear the National Assembly and the president announce that the running cost of the National Assembly has been reduced by 50%. I want to hear Tinubu announce that the cost of fuel has been reduced, the electricity tariff has been reduced, that a bill has been sent to the National Assembly to make electronic transmission of results mandatory. I want to hear Tinubu announce that the recommendations of the NSAS panel has been implemented. Shegun, till date, since 2020, nobody has been held accountable. Nobody has been held accountable for the killings at the toll gate. People are still in detention. So you cannot say people should leave the streets and you are provoking, because they keep asking who is provoking, what is leading to the protest. Apart from anger, those who are sponsoring this protest are people in government that are making irresponsible statements. If the Tinubu government is serious, there are things that can be done within 24 hours. Within 24 hours. How can our National Assembly members be receiving hardship allowance? when Nigerians are barely looking for what to eat. Let all these things be abolished. Abolish the office of the first lady. Abolish the office of the first son. Abolish the office of the first daughter. Nigerians will know that you are serious. They are not willing to do that.
But Mr. Effiong, there are, like, one of the questions Mr. Jamiu Abiola was raising earlier, it's too early in the day to blame President Bola Tinubu of some of the rot that has been in this government that is trying to fix. Is it possible, for example, that the promoters of the protest and some Nigerians will give Bola Tinubu a chance to maybe a bit more time, maybe when it's after 2 years, to see the benefit of the effort and the actions of his government? Is it possible?
I think these questions, with profound respect, are questions that answer themselves. The question of time, as far as I'm concerned, is irrelevant. Tinubu was the leader of the APC because they keep saying he met a rot. Who brought Nigeria to his knees? Buhari. Tinubu brought Buhari to power. At least he has said so publicly by himself. So he said Buhari's policies were his own policies. He endorsed his policies. And if Buhari had destroyed the country, how many people in Buhari's government has Tinubu's government arrested? Has the EFCC arrested? How many former governors have been put on trial? Where is Yahaya Bello? We are still looking for him. So they should stop staff to the president. Was the speaker under Buhari? I can give you several examples. So this attempt to distance Tinubu from Buhari is simply an insult on Nigerians. If this president is serious, I have told you demonstrable actions that he can implement in 24 hours. And people will leave the streets. Nobody wants to protest for the fun of it. They are not doing that. They keep saying we made Nigeria destroyed. It was APC that destroyed Nigeria, and I'm happy they have admitted to it, but they must now repay the damage that they have done to this country. Because they told us they were going to bring change. Look at where we are, Shewun. Our new national minimum wage cannot buy a bag of rice. Is that not a scandal on the most populous nation, one of the largest oil-producing countries in our country? And some governors are even saying they cannot implement it. And those are governors that Tinubu is giving pocket money to, because it is pocket money. How can Tinubu be giving pocket money to governors? Governors that cannot be held accountable, governors that have destroyed local government. What an irony. Tinubu, Attorney General, goes to court to say governors should stop stealing or diverting local government money. The same Tinubu is giving money to the same governors. Does that sound like a serious administration that is really listening to Nigerians? So the point I am making is that stop demonizing the protest. Pull out the military from the streets. Section 218 of our constitution is clear. The military is meant to protect the territorial integrity of our country and can only be called in aid of civil authorities when they are overwhelmed. The police is not overwhelmed. The IG cannot tell us that it's overwhelmed. Stop the killing of protesters. Begin to talk to them. Begin to address their demands. People will naturally leave the streets. I have told you things they can do before tomorrow morning. The question is, will he do it?
Mr. Effiong, let me get Damlare's final thought. Are you stopping the protest tomorrow?
No.
You are going ahead.
The protest initially was slated for 10 days. And like we said, it was slated for 10 days, but may go beyond, depending on the response we get from the government. But it doesn't seem that we are dealing with responsible government. So the government should expect it to go beyond 10 days. If our demands, if our concerns are not addressed, the protest will span for more than 10 days.
Mr. Abiola, what would be your final thought tonight on the program? Going forward.
My final thought is that it was very emotional and it's not the way to go about it, We're trying to resolve issues, not for getting emotional and getting angry. This is something that can be resolved. This is the rule of law country, We have a president that was elected and for a 4-year period. And definitely there are some hardships, and he himself has said it over and over again. And as I told you before, there are a lot of palliative measures he has done. I mentioned to you the youth empowerment scheme. I mentioned to you the 3 million jobs for the youth, which is technical jobs. I also mentioned to you the strategic reserve, 40,000, for the 2,000 grains of rice, and a lot of things. These things take time. So please, we should be patient, and we shouldn't get insultive, and we shouldn't get emotional. It's not going to help matters.
All right. Mr. Effiong, I just have about 30 seconds for your final thought. What's your final thought? What's the way forward?
That this is your turn. Was it your turn to redeem Nigeria or to further destroy Nigeria? When you go to bed this night, if you are listening to me, please answer that question. One day you will leave that office. What do you want Nigerians to remember you for? What would the Tinubu legacy be? This is a golden opportunity that you have. Nobody is coming to Aso Rock to remove you. I have not heard that as part of the demands of the protesters. But you have a unique opportunity in history to reset this country for the better. Stop listening to sycophants. Stop listening to those that are cheering you on. The country is on its knees. Reverse course. Stop these wastages and change the face of our country, and posterity will remember you. But if you don't do this, history will judge you very harshly. That is what I can say.